Guys, welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. We're going to be looking at world title action for this weekend. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez against George Kambosos Jr. We finally got it, Ben. I mean, this fight's had more cancellations than the lockdown wedding, hasn't it? So I'm glad that we're finally getting to talk about this fight. And, in one corner, we've got Lopez, the man who beat the man at the time. Lomachenko was considered pound for pound, probably number one for most people. And then we've got Kambosos as well, coming off a career best victory against Lee Selby. But they've both had periods of inactivity. So talk me through it, Ben.
Yeah, they've both been out for just over a year. And it's good to see them both coming back out. And it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? The first date was June 5th. We've got to November and we finally got it. And I just think to myself, I don't think Kambosos will be a pushover. But I expect Lopez to win because he's something special and he hasn't reached his full potential yet. I still think he's got more to bring. But yeah, Kambosos is an impressive fighter. He travels around the world. He's fought in Malaysia. He, like you said, beat Selby in the UK. He travels people's back gardens. That's something you've got to admire. But I'm glad this fight is finally coming together. And I think it's going to be exciting because this lightweight division, for me, it's the top division at the moment. And apart from Ryan Garcia, they're all coming out before Christmas. So then hopefully they're all freed up for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got the potential, hasn't it? I mean, we say it a bit recently, but it's probably one for a separate video. But if they all started to fight each other, I mean, it's electric, isn't it? I mean, we should say, we're talking about the delays. And in fairness to the fighters, Teofimo Lopez, I think on the initial date, he had COVID, obviously causing obvious cancellation. And then we'll have to give sort of an angry acknowledgement about Triller. Obviously, they came into this really aggressive, $6 million odd purse bid, obviously blew everybody else out the water, which we expect. We've seen it off DAZN when they entered the market 3 or 4 years ago. Obviously, multiple cancellations. Fortunately, it's now landed with Eddie Hearn. He'll do a proper job and has done a proper job of promoting it so far. But no, I'm really, as you said, Ben, I'm really excited about it. Both undefeated fighters. Lopez 16-0, 12 knockouts, and he can punch. He's one of these fighters that sometimes the lighter divisions, they do get criticised, don't they, for the lack of knockouts, the lack of punch power. And he brings that. I mean, for anyone who's not seen it, check out his knockout of Richard Comney because it's a great knockout, to be fair.
What I take from that as well is in those lower divisions, weight class, they can knock people out as they're up and coming, but when they fight the better fighters, they tend to not be able to stop them as often. And we've seen that with Errol Spence, but you don't expect them to always stop these top fighters. And the fact he did that to Richard Comey proves that he can still do that. And I don't think it was ever on the cards to do it to Lomachenko. He went with a game plan, and he just saw that out.
I was going to say the game plan almost didn't sort of, unless it was a freak thing, the game plan didn't really allow for a knockout, did it? It was sort of quite hidden. In fairness to Lopez and, his dad, his training team, the full team, it was the perfect plan. It really was. Obviously, we saw Luke Campbell cause Lomachenko a few problems, and I think they sort of expanded on that. Before we get trolled, I'm not saying Luke Campbell was close to beating Lomachenko. He wasn't, but I think it did lay the foundations of how to get to Lomachenko. And then, look at Kambosos, to be fair, 19-0, 10 knockouts. And I think what we saw against Selby is, I'll be honest, I think his punch power looked better than what his record might actually suggest, but he could box as well. And, Lopez is not going to get an easy night's work here, is he, Ben?
No, I don't think you can underestimate him. But I think a lot of people probably are because he's not one of the big names that are spoke of in this division. But he does the job, and like you say, I do think he looks meaner than he is. Like, you're going about his punch power. You look at him, you think he's going to carry a lot of power, but it's still quite a lot, but it's not as much as I'd expect. But I just think it's that experience, isn't it? And this is his 4th fight in America. He's travelled. He knows what the fans are like. And he's just growing. I think it's one of those divisions, win, draw, lose. There's exciting fights next. And Lopez is going to, like I said, he's not the finish article. And I think for me, you've got to go back to that Lomachenko fight. He did a great job, 1-9. Those championship rounds, for me, he lost all 3 of them. And that proves that there's still learning to do because they're the important rounds. And if you're dragged into deep waters, a fighter like Kambosos can catch you off guard and hurt you in those rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. I do think he sort of came second best in the championship rounds. But, let's not forget, he's only had 2 previous world title fights. At 16-0, he's relatively inexperienced over the 12-round distance. He only turned pro in 2016. He's still only 24 years of age.
So
for me, well, exactly. For me, it's very much, I'm not going to say too much too soon because he's achieved it. But if you look at the general sort of path boxers take through the ranks to get to this level, he's done it very quickly. I mean, before we move on, actually, because I've got something I want to talk about within this. Is your prediction, Lopez?
Yeah, I think it could be a late stoppage, but I do think Lopez, and like you're on about all like the division, I can't help but speak so highly of it. It's the age of the fighters. Apart from Lomachenko, they're all mid-20s, aren't they? And there's years to come. They're all going to be fighting. So hopefully we get these fights.
No, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at a late stoppage, but if you said to me, put your house on it, personally, I think Lopez on points. I think it'll be fairly convincing, probably like 8-4. Do you know what I mean? I think Kambosos will pick up the odd round, but I do think, Lopez's quality is going to shine through.
Wouldn't be a good return on your house.
I don't even know why we're getting into that, mate, but okay. And then obviously, moving on there. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Devin Haney situation. Devin Haney is officially the WBC world champion. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez, that he himself and his team claim he's undisputed. Obviously, we all know Lomachenko's elevated to franchise champion, I should say, to really avoid Devin Haney. I'm not accusing Lomachenko of ducking him, but I certainly don't think, Bob Arum, Top Rank, wanted him fighting Devin Haney personally. Otherwise, I don't see why they'd have lobbied for it. But if that fight gets made next, I mean, Devin Haney's made no secret he needs to move up to 140. Lopez made no secret. If you look at Teofimo Lopez now, say he comes through Touchwood this weekend, he then goes and fights and beats Devin Haney. He really is undisputed lightweight world champion. If he then moved up and fought Josh Taylor, which is another fight that's been talked about, and it's a big money fight, I think, certainly across the pond. And I also think it's a huge fight in the UK. He could become a 2-weight undisputed world champion within 20 fights. And possibly while he's still only 25. You think of that potential, and I think he can pull it off. I really do. I don't know what you think.
Do you know what? I think it would be amazing if he did. And that has to happen, doesn't it? Like, the belts are there. It's only one fight. It's Haney Lopez. It's got to happen, but it's a 50-50 fight. And even the Josh Taylor, it's 50-50. I'd love to see him, but I'm just going to say it. I think Haney beats him. I really do.
See, I don't know. I think, Haney's gradually stepped up his opposition, but, really his biggest win's probably, for me, still Jorge Linares, who, as much as I like the guy, he is past his best. I think, we'll see a bit more about Haney in his upcoming fight. Obviously, we've got that to come in a couple of weeks' time. I don't know. We'll get onto that, but just the prospect of a man that's 25 years old potentially being a 2-weight undisputed world champion, it's incredible. Possibly, yeah. I don't know, dimension-wise, I'd possibly 147, but then again, if you look at that division now, it's stacked with genuine welterweights.
Wow.
So we'll see, but I mean, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think. What's your predictions? Always, Scott will kill us if we don't say it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.